You don't have to hold it up.
Yeah, right.
Simon said not to put it down yet.
Right, I know. I can't put it down yet. I used to dress like that. You want right in front here?
I'll go back here.
All right. Oh, I'm flopping right here.
Going backwards, one hook needs to stop.
Kind of spooky. A little bit closer, he would have dumped the air on his train.
You were just talking about that in that simulator, huh?
Yeah.
It's probably in that big old building there where we were just at.
Containers on this train. I think they got that one big ship. I think we can carry something like 10,000 of those. I did the math one time about how many trains that would have to be. I can't believe that should be that big. Miller time. My bad.
Okay.
So that is a coal tender for the Union Pacific 4014. And then they got the 844 and all the other shops. What type of whistle does the 4014 have? What type?
It's a Hancock 3-chime. There's 2 of them on a pallet right down there at the bottom of the stairs. Big old ugly things. Yeah, the big old, we call them steamboat whistles. They're really low.
Nice.
Some railroads like squeaky whistles. Some railroads like low whistles. Different reasons.
Yeah.
The Norfolk and Western ran through a lot of fog, and they used a single chime hoot whistle, and it would cut right through the fog.
Ooh,
Spooky
nice.
sound too.
Right? Then they can hear it though.
Sure you can find some on the good old internet.
Yeah, you want to hear a good hoot whistle? Look for Norfolk and Western 1218.
1218.
That's got a hooter on it, big 8-inch flat top.
Nice.
Make some noise.
Yeah. Yeah, go over there.
Check it out.
Don't blow it up.
I don't have a pen.
Oh no.
Oh
Find
no.
a Sharpie and we'll sign your hand.
Right?
So what does this do right here?
That is the oil firing valve. You follow that shaft down through the floor, and there's a valve that passes the oil from the tender into the firebox.
Heck yeah.
Nice. Lots of stuff.
Pretty neat though.
So you're going along happy as a clam. You got a nice clear stack going. You come to an overpass where there's 100 people there taking pictures. Just before you go into the overpass, roll a little pull.
Yup.
And you soot them out.
Which one is the deflector where it comes up over the stack hole?
The stack hood,
Yeah.
the valve's over there on the engineer side. So it's an air valve just ahead of where the brake valves are. You ever seen that operate?
Yeah, I've seen some videos of you guys coming out of the tunnel.
Yep.
Pretty neat.
Doesn't help us much in the smoke, but it keeps you from knocking rocks out of the bottom of the roof of the tunnel.
Yeah.
What does this do? If I remember
It's just a wing window. Keeps your hat from blowing off when you go down the track.
And the June bugs from hitting you in the face.
I lost 3 hats last year. Yeah, that's a smart thing. You can turn your hat around.
Go.
You can actually see 4014 next to 844.
Nice.
Yeah.
There it is. See it hiding back there? It's still taking a bit of getting used to seeing it without its Mars light.
He buried him once, they dug him up and took off with him and they found him and brought him back and
worked for a couple different railroads. Railroad, Silverton, Georgetown, 2 other railroads. The Rio Grande, Southern Pacific, and then the UP trains. And so I think it comes from a lifelong passion and I just like these things. It's really fun. And then the whistle itself is something that you can hear it for miles, and I love how it sounds when it echoes. But there's just something about the whistle that connects with you. So when you have to blow it a lot. So
4 or 5 crossings in a
yeah, there's a lot of different crossings there. So you might as well make it sound interesting. Instead of just
Take pride in your
or
work.
it sounds like take pride in your work. So it doesn't sound like a sick cow.
Kind of like a Model T,
Yeah.
Model T horn, like a dying duck.
Yeah. Sick duck.
Yeah.
Yep, pretty
But
neat.
so if you'll walk over here, the whistle is actually sitting on a pallet. Did you see it?
Yep.
Forgot how big the big board is.
Right.
Yeah, originally they were supposed to be called the wash ass type because they're built to go to the wash ass mountains.
Oh, I think you've said that. Here,
Dang it, I can't see him.
your dad can pick you up.
He's not here. Where's the engineer seat?
Maybe it's out.
They're working on this one.
Yeah. Get a little closer.
He can only get so close.
Yeah, it's supposed to say there's a 44.
I imagine it would be.
Oh, here's the part of the sanding the flues. Looking that up, just keeps it right in.
We get to deface some of the guys. I didn't know at first. They got my buddy about this. There's a guy with a very touchable. I'm not sure if he
Did I get it straight or did I go cross? It's straight enough. Not my best work.
Well, I have to think of the time.
Yes, buddy. All right. Well, good luck on your YouTube channel.
No prank calls now.
And really do good on your school. Does he help you out a lot at home?
He's homeschooled, so his extra credit is helping out at home.
Well, good.
I was just going to tell you, they got bins for fuses and fittings and stuff that we use in the garage.
Well, you guys are doing good.
Thank you.
You guys are doing very good. Yeah. Well, good. That's you're very lucky. One day you'll look back and you'll just realize how fortunate you were to have such loving parents to take good care of you and to show everything that you need and teach you. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Dog's hat? No. Who's that?
Well, good. Well, we'll look forward, if we don't see you before, we'll look forward to seeing you next year.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. And your first name?
Levi.
Levi. And your last name? Holtz? How do you spell that?
HOLST.
Okay. All right. Very good. And your middle name?
Jackson.
Good.
Mom's maiden name.
Good. Well, that's great, Levi. Well, good. Well, keep playing with that harmonica and Jew's harp and everything else. Let me get you something. Hold on.
You got more pins?
I think he's up there with Grandma.
For you.
Oh, thank you. See, it's a good thing you didn't buy no pins in the gift shop.
There you go. I like your dirty hat, too. How'd it get dirty?
How did it get dirty?
Yeah.
Character.
Do what?
Give a character.
What happened?
I gave a character to make it look like I'm driving the train.
Oh, well, that's good.
So what he did is we have several grease guns for like suspension and stuff, and he went out in the garage and took one and he put it all over his hat and he put it all over a pair of overalls so he could play the character when we went to Rochelle.
Well, that's good. Good for you. Yeah, you hear that?
Wasted some expensive grease doing it, but.
$20.
Oh.
Where are you going, young lady?
Because he's smaller than, well, his Capricorn's ears are not as big.
Dad.
Yeah, look at that. What? Yeah, exactly.
We're in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and this water pump says Iowa.
Okay, so everyone, this is the knuckle calculator. This is how they calculate trains today. And this is your air brake hose right here. That's what pumps the air through trains. Because a miner said, if I can run a 500-foot long air hose up to European mines for drills, I could do that with a train. So now we have air brakes and knuckle couplers.
What I've seen on the side is vinyl, which is
Projector is putting in by how far you're pulling it down.
And then that's your pressure gauge, right?
Correct.
Get the whole Lincoln part. You're jumping in the same way.
looking like this. That's about right, isn't it? Right there. There you go. What do you think? You look down the side. What do you think?
Yeah.
Now look closely at everything. Like, because he says there's difference, very subtle differences. Like, look at all the features on the train. You look down between the elephant ear and the train itself. What do you think?
Yeah, I would understand why. Oh, I can do it.
So, I'm up there with you. I'm up there with you. Now lean out the window. Now see how the running board, just stand right there so you both see. Let's see how the running board tapers at the very front.
Yeah.
So when this goes around a curve, the boiler swings out. And when we're in a curve, that tapered part is actually straight. That's how far out it is in the curve. So if you can imagine in your mind a piece of curved track, that's why it's shaped like that.
Okay.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
So is the elephant ears bigger on Big Boy than on 844?
There actually will be a little bit, slightly longer, but they are shorter. Because this is 1 foot taller than the...
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yep, that's something he noticed. He's
So-
figuring that out.
This is 11 feet from here to the ground. The Big Boy is 11 feet. The 844 is 10 feet.
So somehow you noticed 1 foot difference.
Yep.
He noticed that. I'm like, ah, yeah.
Yeah. You don't miss much, do you?
No.
Good job.
He tries.
Yeah, Jay Leno.
Yeah.
Your favorite scene?
Yeah.
I think I just sent it to stretch signal.
That's right. Yep.
Is the whistle as loud in the cab as it is outside, or is it get quieter?
Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
You know, interestingly enough,
How hot does it generally get in there for you guys?
140-ish.
Oh,
At night when we close it down, it's over 200, 250 up in here.
That's how you all stay so slim.
water's very important.
How many times? Do you know how many times has locomotive had a field slip?
Quite a bit. Yeah, it's normal that it slips a little bit. Levi. All right, everybody say big boys are cool.
Big boys are cool!
Now what I want you to do is I want you to look out and I want you to pretend that you're in the engineer.
That's easy to do. Who holds the throttle? Who holds the throttle?
You gotta lean way out so you can see far ahead. And don't fall out.
Yeah, that will hurt.
You can't fall out through the engineer. There you go.
All right.
Do that one more time, Levi. Grab the whistle. There. All right, everybody look forward. All right, good job.
Yeah.
Take your time. You guys have fun up there. So here's your front four wheels. This is called an engine truck. And right in here, you can't really see it too well because it's really, really greasy, but I'm going to show you with my light. So if you look right in there, see that big pin? See it right there? So that is connected to a bushing that's inside this front engine. And so this whole set of wheels here begins to move over, and when it does, there's a small geared rack in there. And those rollers actually begin to move up on that rack a little bit. And as they do, they start to transfer some of the weight to the suspension system. We call that spring ring. All right, so now that starts moving this. Everything's following the track. It's nice and smooth. It's nice and gradual. And as it moves over here, as this thing moves over, as it moves over, it starts to compress these springs. This is called a centering device. And you can see this little rod right here. It's not very big, is it?
Yeah.
Well, this is connected to the frame. Now this is moving. And so it pushes and starts to compress those springs, and then the whole boiler starts to move over. And as the boiler's moving over, this front engine is swinging over this way. This rear engine, this is the number 5 driver. This is rigidly connected to the boiler. So as the boiler moves over, that number 5 driver is following the curve of the track. So the front engine's moving first, and the boiler swings over, and it takes with it the rear engine, and everything's tracking that curvature very nice and fluid and smooth. Now as you come out of the curve, and you go back into a tangent track, remember those rollers I talked about in the front? Those rollers are moving up on the rack a little bit. Well, they want to find the neutral position in the center. It's called a constant resistance device. So whenever it's in a curve, it's beginning to encounter resistance. And it's that resistance that makes it go straight again. And that's what keeps it nice and straight. So when this is rolling down the track, because everything's tight, everything's new, and we fixed it up very nice, it is like a Swiss watch. This thing going through the track is really cool.
Yeah, I've seen videos. Yeah.
I've got a video that I posted on Facebook. We're making about 38 miles an hour. And we go through a 40-mile-an-hour crossover. And we're going through, and all of a sudden the front engine goes like this. And the boiler immediately follows it. And then we go back through. It's the neatest thing to watch.
I know.
Big old giant machine. So at 40 miles an hour, think about how fast these wheels are moving.
Or spinning.
And all of this mechanism here.
208.
298? Yeah. 289? Yeah. Very good. Yep, good job. So how would you figure that out? Let's do a quick math calculation. So if this is 68 inches in diameter, what kind of math calculation would you figure? How far, if you could had a tape and you were to unravel that tape, how many feet does that wheel move by the time it goes one revolution? How many feet? How would you figure that out?
Probably multiply or divide.
Okay. Are you familiar with pi? You know what that is? Are you in that level of math yet? So you take the circumference, the diameter, and you can calculate all that out. And you get to the point, what was really good. See, when I was in school, I struggled with math because all I wanted to do was play trains.
That's like me. As soon as I'm done.
I later learned that you have got to do your homework first.
Mm-hmm.
Schoolwork first, math first. And you know what's really a good idea is if you can always be in a math class for the next grade. So what grade are you in right now? Fifth. So try to work in 6th or 7th grade. Maybe hire a tutor, maybe study online, and always be ahead. Then when you go to college, make sure math is 100% solid. Math is so important. Whether you're going to be in chemistry, whatever you're going to do, you've got to be good at math. And the better you are at math and the more natural it is for you, the easier everything will be. Here you're going to struggle with some things. Nobody can remember everything. Nobody can be good at everything. It's very rare that somebody's this good at everything. But if you can master math, if you can make that your main subject, then the sky's the limit. If you want to be a doctor, in any kind of medicine, veterinary medicine, anything whatsoever, chemistry, biology, you're going to have to learn all kinds of different things. And at its core is math. So I remember when I went into the military, I wanted to do really cool things, military stuff. And I later began to take college courses. When I was out of the military, I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. And so I studied, and I really had a little catch-up to do to get good at algebra and all those different. And I've got friends that they were natural. Math was so easy for them. We start to get into all kinds of really complicated math formulas. So, all right, did I answer your question on the wheels and all that stuff? So, see this big spring?
Yeah.
That's called a leaf spring.
Mm-hmm.
That's brand new. We made that new. And you can see all of the stuff down in here, and that's where it articulates. You can't really see it, but you can see the back of the frame that sticks in this cavity right here. And all of this mechanism here, all the pipes. Hey, you guys, Carl. I got something if you want to clean this.
Sure.
Check this out, you guys. So this is something, it's kind of ugly, and you're probably going to get more dirty than you really want to. But if you're interested, you can tackle starting to clean some of the hoses you can get into. So the first thing you got to do is clean this, so you don't get dirty leaning up against it. And then just gradually start working your way in as far as you can reach and clean some of that stuff there. Okay. So why do you guys think we clean this?
So it looks pretty and it doesn't rust, I assume.
Well, we clean it. That's a good answer. Well, we clean it because if you don't clean it, look at how dirty it is right now.
Yeah.
Imagine how dirty it'll be after we run it next year and the next year. Well, what happens when we need to get in there and fix something? Because this is a machine, you've got to fix stuff every now and then, or inspect something. Or maybe that rubber hose had a problem and now it's leaking. Well, it's going to take you 2 hours to clean the grease off of that rubber hose before you can even see where you need to take it apart. So, to the extent we can, we will go and clean all of this stuff. And we do it by hand. And it's months of work. And little by little, we start at the front, we work our way back, and we clean all of it. And that way, when we go to work on it, it doesn't kill us too bad. I remember I started here in 2004, and I love cleaning. It's always me in 2004. And it was so filthy. You'd have to take a chisel, and you'd go through maybe a 1/4 inch, sometimes an inch, sometimes 2 inches of goo before you get to the bottom of it. And it took, you get with a pressure washer, and you're here with a pressure washer, and 3,000 pounds of pressure, and you would be just drenched head to toe, and just filthy. Pretty cool, huh? Any more questions?
Did y'all hand make that stuff?
Yeah, we made all this. This here, I'll show you some more stuff up here. This. So let me explain something to you. So when you're running the locomotive, when we stop the locomotive, this is how we want to stop it. This is called the eccentric rod. This is the eccentric crank. See how they're in a straight line? That's where we want to stop. So we can get the grease gun here.
And grease all the ports.
Grease gun here. Look at this. Right there. See that?
Yep.
You can get the grease gun there.
And
if you go too
fill
far, you can't get the grease gun there.
Yeah.
You gotta move
because
it. Well, because this is 2 engines, it's very rare that you'll be able to stop 2 engines like this. Or the other thing you can do is you can stop it so it's up here. So this is up here. And now you got to get the grease gun up here, which is good exercise. I like good exercise.
It's like grease and bond.
And then you can get down here. You can grease this one. You can grease this one, this one, this one. So what this is for, this greases inside right here. This greases inside back here.
Ah, so there's like a big pipe that shoots in.
Well, this is hollow. This is a 4-inch hollow cavity. And this piece divides it up right here. So this grease goes in here for this side of it. The grease goes all the way through that back here inside there. So you want to put all this grease is all full of grease. And when this thing's running down the track, you're using that grease up like a candle. Like when a candle is
It's
burning.
burning and it goes down.
Well, when you run out of grease, what happens?
Bad days.
Bad days.
Yeah,
that's right. Yep.
This locomotive isn't happy.
That's right. So inside here, you can't see it, but the bushing is made of bronze. It's a special bronze with lead alloy in it. And there's a little bit of clearance in there. So when this is running, you can hear it go dun, 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 dun. That's the clearance. Well, the grease fills all of this up, and in that bushing, I'll take you over and show you one. I don't know if we have one sitting around here. I know we have one over there. There's all these little holes in it, and those holes get full of grease. And as this is running, it's rubbing, and it's creating some friction, which creates what? What happens when you have friction?
Heat.
Heat, yep.
It welds itself together, right?
If there's too much friction, what happens? The more friction you have, the more what?
Heat.
The hotter or colder? Does it run colder or hotter?
Hotter. Yeah.
Hotter. So if you rub your hands together like this,
Yeah, you can feel the heat.
now start rubbing them harder.
Yeah.
Now push together harder. Now push together faster. Feel how it's getting so hot? Same thing. That's friction. So in here, imagine the friction you've got. So you got to have this grease. And the grease, you can see it's everywhere, right here. See all this?
Oh, yeah.
That's what that is. Well, that grease, when it gets hot, it starts to soften. And then it starts to let the oil come out of that grease. We use a different type of grease here. This is a different grease.
Yeah.
This is a softer grease. And this is actually has roller bearings in it, which is a really cool setup. Roller bearings are really modern. There's roller bearings in here too.
Yeah, it's better than the old style hot boxes on rail cars.
That's exactly right. So look in here. See that? See how it's painted gray? That's where the roller bearing is. And you can see the piece that the spring is sitting on. It's called a saddle. You can actually see it right there. There's the saddle. And that is actually the weight of the locomotives pushing down on the suspension system, on the springs, which is pushing on the center of that bearing. Take a guess at how much weight.
The single wheel is?
How much weight is pushing down on the wheel to the rail?
Thousands of tons.
1,000 tons? Well, that's a lot. So this is 610 tons. So each one of these, let's just round it up. So it's 70,000 pounds on this axle.
On one bearing.
What is half of 70,000? What's half of 70? Do some math.
Half of 70.
35.
35. Okay. That's my deal. Very good. Good job. Good job. Okay. So you've got good work, Cal. Good job. All right. So if this is 70,000 pounds, how many tons is that?
Divide by 1,000.
Right. So 1 ton is 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
So if we divided 70, half of 70, so that's 35 tons. Okay. We got 2 wheels. How many tons? What's half of 35?
15.
17.
Yep.
Oh.
16 and 16 is 32. So just round, we can round it up a little bit. So you get in your head where you can kind of round it up a little bit, and you can kind of take half of this and half of that and add this and add that and do these calculations. So we're looking at 17 tons right there.
Very large fan.
17 tons. And what do you think that's going to do to a penny?
It's going to flatten it.
Pennies go.
Yeah,
you know?
or like in those crank machines, you crank it and flatten.
That's right.
Although,
So
even better.
17 tons. What's your car weigh?
Which one? The Power Wagon's
Yeah,
10,000 pounds.
10,000 pounds, which is how many tons? How many tons is 10,000 pounds? It's really divided by 2.
Ton is 2. Yeah, there you go.
That's 5 tons. There you go. So 5 tons. Good job. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of
So
hard
2,000 pounds is a ton.
Yep.
So that's how this whole thing works. Well, how much do you think this thing weighs? This is a main rod.
I thought it was called a connecting rod.
Well, these are your connecting rods.
Oh,
And
okay.
You've got
So
an
those.
intermediate connecting rod. You got a back connecting rod. You got a forward connecting rod. You got a main rod, eccentric rod. So it's interesting to note on the 844. The 844 is 135 inches from here to up there. This is 138 inches. So it's 3 inches longer. On the 844, this is connected on the 1, on the number 2, on the 3, on the 4. The 844 is connected back here, which makes this rod a little bit shorter. And if it's shorter, it doesn't have to be as heavy. And that's why they designed it this way. So when you're running all this stuff, it's neat to have this big, giant, massive locomotive, but this thing has got to go down the track and it's got to roll. And it can't cause too many forces. Look at how heavy this thing is. All this right here is full of lead.
Yeah, that's your real weight, basically.
That's your counterweight. Look at this one.
That one's
Kinda
smaller.
small, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it only has a little bit here. But it has all of this, all of this, all of this, all of this. And then not only does it have that, but this is moving back and forth. And when it's moving back and forth, you're going to learn about this in physics. When it's moving
Engine
back
building.
and forth, it's going back and forth. It moves this way, and then it has to stop, and it has to start moving this way and stop. Think about all that pressure. It's a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you got to calculate all that stuff in your head.
Yep.
There you go.
Yep.
Much simpler because just the main
That's
rods and
it,
the connecting rods. But
Dude, that's a nice model.
thank you. Go
Well, you want to look in the cab one more time and have a look at that phenomenon I was showing you about?
Actually,
Hey, buddy, we're going to go into the cab and we're going to talk about. He's got some questions about some other things. You got time, Dad?
Oh yeah. This is our whole weekend.
I think we all came too
Yeah.
So when we ran this in 2023, it hadn't run since we operated. We started up every now and then. So there's a lot of things to do, but it's not as complicated as it looks. So you can run the entire operation from here. So what this does, these controls control what we call the wheel. And the actual wheel itself is not very far from where we're sitting. So this little, it's called a discharge chute or a hood right here. And this entire apparatus out front is heated with steam. So it's got a small little layer, a little area between there, a space that is heated with steam. And when you're operating this in really cold temperatures, all of the snow that accumulates is going to create a huge, giant snowdrift. This thing will look like a giant Q-tip going down the track.
I know.
We've seen some on YouTube.
You have to clean, you have to melt that hood off. That's one of the most critical parts of this. These windows are rotating at high RPM and they are heated. So that spinning window keeps all of the rain and melted snow off because all of this is just covered. All of these windows are just covered. And if any of these stop working, you're blind. So this front area here is critical to see. So this right here, this is forward. That's what we call neutral or center, and this would be reverse.
Yeah, that's reverse.
And so this controls the pusher locomotives.
This is your air brake.
Yep, that's the air brake there. Remember, don't play with anything now.
Independent?
None of it works. Charlie loves to operate the handles.
How tall
Independent?
can this thing go through?
This thing will go up in a snowdrift all the way up past the headlights. I've been in snow up that deep. I've got pictures, and I've climbed out the door and had to go up on a 3-foot bank of snow. So this thing is really designed to go through the snow. So this controls the direction of the wheel. This hydraulic lever down here controls the direction of the hood. So when we were running this, so I wrote, this is my writing up here. So these were the locomotives that we had in the very back, the 5011, and these two engines were our pushers that I could control here. And we had a lot of time on our hands, so I was bored and I wrote some things on here. The Denver and Salt Lake Railroad, around 1908, somewhere in there, they had, actually a little bit earlier than that, they had a rotary snowplow, and on the side it was painted red, and it had the rotary. So that's what I wrote on here. So this is Latin.
Oh.
What that means, I have a saying on our crew. Sometimes when we have our plans and we really talk about a lot of planning, and we plan it over and over again, and all of a sudden we have to change our plan. We have to change our mind. Well, sometimes it's a lot of information to share with everybody. So what I tell everybody is we have a plan and you're going to love it. So that is Latin for you're going to love it. So when you're operating this controls the engine speed, just like on these controls 1 through 8. Here's 1 through 8 here. This is a load meter that shows how much amperage you're taking to this big giant electric motor right underneath here that is controlling a set of gear reduction drives. Because the motor itself spins at a pretty high RPM. What's RPM mean, Charlie?
Rotations per minute.
Revolutions per minute, yeah?
Or rotations per
So
minute.
what is that right there?
Mile per hour.
So here's your, nope, that's revolutions per minute. And what's that?
That's your speed.
Mile per hour, yep.
Okay.
So this thing has an overspeed about 140 RPMs. I run it about 130-ish or so. So as we're operating this machine, it's like a giant gyroscope. So this big, huge wheel, which is all made of steel, and the shaft and the gears, all of that represents rotating mass. So when this thing is running, it's kind of interesting. It likes to run counterclockwise as you're sitting here. If you run it the other direction, it has a little bit of a wobble to it. So as you're going down the track, when you're traveling to the location that we're going to operate it, we travel in reverse if we can. If we have a place to turn it around before we get into the snow, then we'll do that. Sometimes we'll have to just go forward for hundreds and hundreds of miles. And if we do, we have a coupler that we can put, and we could put another locomotive in front of us. If we can't do that, well then this has to be in the leading position, and it actually pulls along a little bit more stable than it does pushing. It has those big ice cutters on the front, those things that are painted yellow. We actually retract those and withdraw them up because it does rock a little bit, and we've actually had it hit some things because this is a little bit wider than other locomotives. So that's how it works.
When's the last time you drove this thing?
2023, a couple years ago. But the last time we used it in really heavy snow was 2007.
Oh, that's
Yep.
been a while.
You
Yep.
drove it then?
Yes.
Is this the horn?
That's the horn.
How long did you
What
work
horn is
the
this
railroad?
equipped with?
37 years in total.
And you retired when?
I haven't. I'm still working.
Right.
Yeah. I don't look that old, do I?
No, you look pretty young.
Yeah. So it's interesting here. There's a little escape hatch right there. See what it says? Beware of hot engine and boiler exhaust.
Oh.
So let's say that there was an avalanche. Because sometimes you operate this in canyons. This thing is not designed to go through a rock slide or something like that. It's designed to move snow. So they thought of everything when they had this thing built. It has steam heat controls. That's those two valves down there are for. And when we rebuilt this, we haven't rebuilt it as much. I really want to rebuild all the electrical systems and everything in here. But we did some work to the actual piping and arrangements, and we made it so it will use steam off of our steam generator car that we have, that we take with the big boy. So part of our operation, all the cars that we have for the big boy go with this, because that's where we have all our tools and our gear and all our neat stuff.
So what company? So like what company like originally built this?
This was built by the Union Pacific Railroad.
Oh, just
they built this in Omaha, Nebraska. So they built this.
Oh, Southern
Yep.
Pacific seats.
They built this. 1971.
Can I try that side?
Well, there's nothing to run here. Pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. So I'm going to go this way. You guys go that way. And hold on a second. Let me go in front of you. And so, I've got a picture of snow being all the way up here. And it's just got a big chunk of snow on it, but the wheel's turning behind it. At Cheyenne, Wells, Colorado. We went out and we went through about a mile of 9 and 10 foot snowdrift. And then there was some locomotives that were stranded. We went out to those locomotives, got to those locomotives and backed out. And we tied up for the night at Cheyenne, Wells, Colorado. Hi, buddy. That's what those are called. That's called a spinner spike up there.
Makes sense.
And when you get into some really wet snow and when it's really cold out, the snow freezes. It's like constantly freezing because you're exposing it to the atmosphere, to the air. And so that moisture content freezes. And what will happen is that will actually freeze and create this really immovable mass right against that piece. So those spikes router all that stuff out of there to keep the pressure off of that. So you can keep moving forward where it can get into those ice cutters. And then each one of those surfaces that we were moving is designed to move just a little bit. If they moved more, it's too aggressive and it will overwhelm the 2,500 horsepower. So they're limited to how much snow it can take, and you're controlling everything from up there. So you're controlling the speed of the motor, but you're also pushing the locomotives or pushing you, and you're balancing all that, and you feel that, and you just push your way through.
So is there any ability to? Is the speed of your blade dependent on your forward motion, or is there
You're controlling the speed independent. And so when you're getting into some snow, yeah, here you go. Here's a video of it when we were running it a couple years ago. And that streaking are those moving, those cutting surfaces moving. So when you get into the snow, you feel it bog down and you can see your air fluid go up and you give it more power, more speed. And then if you need to, you slow down a little bit, but you keep making progress. And the snow is just blasting out of this thing because it's designed to move it efficiently. The typical, like this snow blower, this is called a 2-stage blower here. And so it has an auger. It has an auger and it has a fan. So it augers the snow into the fan. Well, that's two different systems. You have to have a system for the auger and a system for the fan. That's too much messing. It's too much messing around. You want to handle the snow one time, one and done. And that's what this does, is it handles it, it swoops it around that big housing, it all goes to the outside with centrifugal force, and the next thing it does is go out. It's just fast, done, no messing around. Yep. So right now it's set up to throw left.
Yeah. That makes more sense.
And then if you need to throw another way, so when we went through Kit Carson, Colorado, there's a highway and there was a bank, there was another train on another track. And in between each car, there was a huge snowdrift. It was a massive snowstorm. And so I was blowing the snow over the train onto the highway. So I slowed down and I reduced the speed and blew the snow just short of the highway. Because you don't want to make the highway department mad. So it's a lot of snow. Well, the other thing is that it's not like snow. It's ice and it's big chunks of heavy snow, and it'll knock the windows completely out of a car. It's very dangerous. If there's people out, you got to get them back because it could kill someone. It'll take down the telephone lines. It'll knock down trees. This thing is not a toy. It's the only thing that you have, and it's the last line of defense. You know, we should probably put this. I put a presentation together so people could understand what this is on the railroad, because so many people come and go. And I've got this, and it's Union Pacific 90082. Union Pacific's last line of defense.
Oh, okay.
Because it is. This is it. Yeah. There's no other machine. You can't use a front end loader. You can't use a road grader. You know, I mean, it'd be like using this.
Good luck. Yeah,
So-
good luck.
And if you've got dozens and dozens, 50, 60, 80, 100, 200, 300 miles of railroad that is part of a massive storm, because we could get storms like that. And pretty soon,
I mean, you guys close
this
the
is
roads
it.
up here. Oh yeah. You get snow where it's just that's
Iowa does too.
So do you have more of these,
Gates over that
or is this
road.
just the one?
This is the only one in the rest of the region. There's some snow plows that are in California for Donner Pass.
Oh, yeah.
But this is actually better than that. This is newer, and it's a better system. Because when they built they built this in 1971. And they had a lot of years of trial and error to learn what they needed to do. And it's got all the bells and whistles. It's got a steam heated hood. It's got an ice cutter. It's got a flanger. It's got these cool things. So I like the color yellow. That's why they're painted yellow. A lot of the big if you look closely, there's little yellow piece stuff on the air brakes. Those are the pieces that we maintain on a pretty regular basis. So each little component has a yellow part to it. And you'll notice that yellow part is clean because we just went through and serviced it. So these are yellow. Sometimes we'll take these off. So if we have to, for some reason, we have to go in a forward direction and we can't turn this around, well, it's got a coupler that you can put on here, but it's really heavy. You have to have a big forklift. So, you know, it's a little bit complicated putting a coupler here. And then we've got a train, and it's just more complicated. So if we can, we always run it backwards and then turn it around and then go fight the snow. But if there's no place to turn it around, you've got no alternative but to run this in the leading position. And it can only go about 25 miles an hour. So you're going to be a while.
Yeah.
But we can go 30 miles an hour if we're towing it. And I was telling everybody before, it's like a big gyroscope. So if you're running down the track and it's top heavy, this thing is moving like this. And you're way up and it's really pronounced up there. So you idle the wheel about 40 RPMs and it smooths all that out. And so when you see, there's several YouTube videos, because we ran this a couple years ago, and there was a lot of people that documented that. So it's actually trucking along at 30 miles an hour and you can see it. You know, it's a neat machine. But the reason it's here is we are the crew that does the steam locomotive, which is another neat machine, but it has a lot of special stuff that you have to do. All kinds of out of the ordinary work. And we've got tools and equipment, and all of our tool car is over there. And we've got specialized tools and all kinds of spare parts and gear. We've got bunk beds, sleeping quarters. And one of the first things we do when we get notified that we're going to take this out is I send two of my people to the grocery store, and we get about $3,000 worth of groceries.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
And they
because
spend
you're out there
about
for a
4 or
while.
5 hours loading up many shopping carts. And we fill all of our quarters with dry goods and perishables, and we've got refrigerators and freezers, a kitchen, and so we are prepared to live for 5 days being completely isolated from the rest of the railroad. So if this goes out, it's an emergency situation. They're not going to be able to fuel us and everything else. So we've developed this process to siphon fuel, to pump fuel out of locomotives as we're going. So we can refuel our generators. We've got redundant generators, redundant. We're like the special forces. So when we go into battle with this thing, we don't need arms and ammunition for 5 days. After 5 days, we'll be looking for an airdrop. Or we just eat cereal.
Yeah, right.
And keep going and keep pumping fuel and, you know. But the worst thing you can do is to derail this.
Yeah.
So it takes a little bit of a feel, and you just cannot derail this. You don't want to derail this because, first of all, think about being.
What's
going to
pick it up?
Yeah.
I have a picture. I've got a picture from 2007 of snow being about a foot below those headlights. And I climbed around, and on the side, you can't see it here, but on the back there, you've got a scale. And it's got numbers on it, how deep the snow is. And so you open the door, and the snow is up to here on the door, and you climb out on the snow. And the snow is like sandstone. You could hardly even leave a footprint in it. It was so hardly packed, big snow drifts. And so I walked around with my camera, and I took some pictures. It's the neatest thing. And it was 2007 digital cameras, but it's some really cool pictures. And then got back in, and then off we went again. And you're just going through those snowbanks. When we started out, the snow got bad at Lyman, Colorado. And then we went 300 miles east of there, which is out east of Oakley, Kansas. And then by the time we got to Oakley, Kansas, the snow wasn't that bad. And then we pulled our way back. And we have, that's the other thing you have is a locomotive on the end. So you've got this, and we've got a tank car for water for the steam plant, 2 pusher locomotives, and then you've got our steam engine cars, and then you've got another locomotive facing the other way. So it's facing backwards with its snowplow. So if something happened, it can push through whatever. But you just came through these big giant cuts. And the cuts were really impressive to watch. I took lots and lots of pictures. But we're backing through where we just went, and it was so impressive to see what we just did.
Yeah.
But there was no way. You're either going to wait for April or July. Because then nothing is going to get your railroad open.
How much time do you guys spend in the winter having to clear roads?
We hardly ever have to do it. 2007 and then 2023 we went out with this, but by the time we got there the problem was over. But we were pulling ourselves back. We actually bent some of the stainless steel here as we were backing through. So one of the things that I'd like to do is I want to put these back into service. These at one time were designed to move out. So it's a little bit of a long story, but I want to take and redesign these so they're wider. So when we get into a place, we can push these out.
Like Southern Pacific.
But think about how much pressure is on these. Look at how rugged this is. And even at that, they bend. You know, so when you get into some really rough snow, you know, this thing it's designed to be a rugged, durable machine because it's the only way the railroad can clear itself. We've got some snow plows. I don't know if you saw them out here, and they were built in the 1940s and 1950s, and they're designed to be pushed with the locomotive. So that's how it works. So when you start to get a storm, you've got the snow plow. Every locomotive has a snow plow. It's about this big, and you keep running the locomotive over and over again. Well, that clears the snow just for this. The next thing you have is a machine called a ballast regulator, and they've got special winter plows they can put on that, and it's got extendable wings that it can move out, and that will move the snow, and that usually is adequate.
Almost like an icebreaker, and then
It looks like a big industrial snowplow. And then if it's overwhelming for that, you have what we call a Jordan spreader, and we don't have too many of those. And over the years, we haven't used a lot of that equipment, so the people that have used them are retired. So there's a little bit of a learning curve, and most of the time, those things are sitting somewhere where somebody's forgotten about them and they don't work. So everybody's jumping through hoops trying to get this spreader ready to go. Well, so this belongs to me. This is ours. So I keep it ready. It's got a new set of batteries in it. We've got it plugged in and charging. We check the water in the batteries every month, and we tinker with it. I just went through and replaced all the air brakes. That's what all this is right here. You know, these are all the air brake pieces we've replaced. So it's all legal, and the air brakes are it's all signed off. Because if they ever need it, the last thing I want to do is mess around trying to get this thing going for 2 or 3 days. They need it right now. So they called us up. I was in Omaha and we were coming back, so I called all my guys and I said, you're not going to believe this. They need the rotary snowplow. So everybody came in. It was a Saturday, and we got this thing going in less than 36 hours, and it hadn't run since 2007. It hadn't been out. And so they were really impressed. And I said, well, what do you think we're doing around here?
Nothing.
You need it. And I remember I've told my boss multiple times, they're going to be calling you because they're going to look in the railroad directory. They're going to find me, and they're going to find who my boss is. And they're going to be calling us off the hook until we're ready to go. So we'll get this thing out, and go to the grocery store and get all our supplies, and off we go. And maybe we'll be gone for 2 weeks. Maybe we'll be gone for a month.
Yeah.
You know, you never know.
I have an idea.
But if we ever have big storm events, and we don't have many of those, but weather is the big cyclical thing. You know, you can have some big weather event that's unseasonable.
Yeah.
You know, different currents. You know, from time to time we get those.
Like Hurricane Sandy.
Winter of 1952,
Yeah.
1953.
The blizzard of 1949 is really why they made this. So the blizzard of 49 shut the railroad down.
And
it
there's
was
a story
a big problem.
city of
That was in Donner Pass, the city of San Francisco.
Yeah, and it got stuck, and Al engine. He asked, the cab forward came, and it wasn't able to push it out. Yeah, and then a plow came. And
We don't really have passenger trains like we do, but back when they ran passenger trains, the passenger train was stranded, and that's not a good thing. It's not good for your PR. Are we good? You want to go check on our doggy? Okay. We've got our child over in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's this big machine here.